Hey guys, Dan with Pain For You. In this video I want to talk about injuries. And I can't tell you how many times I'll get into some private messaging or comments on the Facebook group or the page, and I have people saying, oh yeah, and they refer to back when I injured myself, back from my original injury. And look, an acute onset of TMS. We bend over and our back goes out. That can feel like an injury. And if we identify that as the injury that started it all, and we hang on to that and we keep on using the language of my injury, it's going to be hard for our brain to eventually accept that we're not injured, right? Especially the fact that, injuries heal. So if the pain lasted for more than 6 to 8 weeks, it's TMS. It's too much stress. It's this mind-body process. It's this distraction pain. It's a stress illness, right? And so, did you truly injure yourself? Well, if you fall and you break and there's a fracture that you can see on an x-ray, yeah, that's an injury. But for a long time, I thought I injured myself. You know how? Let me share this with you if you haven't heard my story. I was stressed out, lots of stuff going on, and a young child, busy work, a job that was stressful, a commute that wasn't great, a marriage that was good but showed some signs of trouble, and basically I was stressing out. And one day before work, I bent over to put my underwear on, and I injured my back because I got that stab in the back, and I thought, oh, I must have pulled something. And that started 13 years of pain. And so if your situation started with something innocuous, like I woke up and I had some pain, so I must have slept wrong, or it happened when I was getting out of the car, so I must have pulled something, and you're now looking at the original cause as an injury that hasn't healed, well, you're not grasping the concept of TMS and the fact that an acute onset of TMS feels a lot like an injury, right? And whether you heard it in the gym or running or anything, look, if the pain lasted longer than a normal time frame for healing, then something else is going on, and it's very possible that this injury that we thought we had is not really an injury. And honestly, I don't care if you went to a doctor and they said, yeah, based on what you told me, you pulled a muscle. Okay. That's what they're guessing based on your description. And you walked in saying, I think I injured myself. And they're going, yep, you probably did. But if your pain lasts longer than 6 or 8 weeks, maybe 12 weeks max, where's the injury? Because injuries heal, right? So, if you're hanging on to this injury concept, where's the proof? Some doctor said you injured yourself. Was there an x-ray? Was there an MRI that literally showed a muscle tear? Look, I know guys who were lifting some heavy equipment and literally their bicep disconnected from their shoulder. Boop, and it rolled down towards their elbow. That's a real injury, right? There's no doubt there. They can see tendon tore, muscle bulked up down here by the bottom of their elbow. That's a real injury. If you bend over to put on your underwear like I did and it hurts, that's not necessarily an injury. And oh, by the way, the guy who had his muscle disconnect from his shoulder because he was trying to lift something too heavy, he healed. He doesn't hurt anymore. And I can't imagine anything more traumatic than looking down, feeling that searing pain as it literally ripped and disconnected and bulked up down by his elbow, but he doesn't hurt anymore. So if you bent over to get something out of the bottom cabinet, or doing laundry, picking up a laundry basket, Dr. Sarno said we are not nearly as frail or as fragile as you believe. The brain can be tricky and will sometimes find these moments to give you that acute onset of pain. And look, if we look at the concept of stress, tension, fight or flight, that changes our autonomic nervous system. It changes things like our blood flow. So let's say you're in a chronic state of stress and tension tight muscles because of all of the emotional stuff going on and the stress and these unresolved emotions going on, and you do happen to bend over to pick up something or put on your underwear, like in my case, it's very possible that with the tight, tense muscles, with the oxygen flow not exactly the way it is in an ideal, relaxed state, that is when the acute onset of TMS happens. So it does make logical sense that you can do something very insignificant physically, and whammo, you get that pain. So I will challenge you, and I will ask you to challenge yourself with this injury concept. Did you have proof? Did you have literally a traumatic injury with the fracture, a tear that they can show you on an MRI? Or did you have some doctor say, yeah, you probably pulled a muscle? Okay? And God forbid something like that happen again and they tell you, yeah, you probably pulled your back out. You pulled a muscle in your back. Okay, doc, how long does that take to heal? A few weeks. Great. Forget about it. Don't stress. Trust your body to heal. Because the body does not take years or decades to heal. The one other point I will make is that people will tell me, I'm doing the emotional process and I'm not coming up with anything. My life is pretty good right now, except for the pain. And I know I touch on this often. So it is very possible that their emotional world and life events at the time the pain started was what caused the pain in the first place. However, fear, focus, anxiety are what will take a simple single incident of TMS, an acute onset, but the fear, the focus, the anxiety, the frustration, the measuring, monitoring, the freak out about the symptoms can lock that in and make it chronic. And then it kind of takes on a life of its own. And then even though the scenarios that may have been at cause initially, let's say the grief of losing a grandparent or a parent or a pet or something, let's say you have truly come to terms with those things and they're no longer bothering you in your today life, it is possible that you still have TMS and that the reason the pain persists is the constant fear, focus, frustration, trying to fix it constantly, measuring it, monitoring it, hating your life and being so damn upset about the pain that the neuroplasticity that I just talked about a couple days ago is not letting it go because you've turned it chronic. You've taught the brain that this is significant, keep it going. And now it is continuing, even though you may feel that you addressed the emotional situations that were at cause when it happened. So that's possible too. So I will again challenge you. Did you truly injure yourself, or you had an acute onset of pain that you and perhaps your doctor decided was an injury? But unless you've got the scans or the x-rays or some kind of proof that there was a structural tear, damage, fracture, something like that, I will challenge you that perhaps, and only you can decide based on your medical history, perhaps what you experienced was not an injury, but an acute onset of TMS. And for those of you and us who the pain kind of was mild one day and it got worse and worse and worse throughout the days, and it kind of crept up on us and came out of nowhere, I will absolutely tell you that's not an injury, because injuries don't happen gradually. A true physical injury, whammo, it just happens. You do something dramatic that tears your tissues. There's tissue damage that you can see, right? So I am challenging your definition of an injury. And if people are commenting and saying, yeah, well, I had some back pain, but my real first injury was this, was it truly an injury? And I'm asking you to challenge that, because if you can come to the conclusion that what you have perceived as an injury and what you have told yourself and probably thousands of others of, yeah, I injured my back 20 years ago and it still hasn't healed, I'm going to challenge you that that's not accurate. And even real injuries, let's say you did have a real injury, but it didn't heal right. it probably healed right, but the fear, focus, and anxiety of that injury and of it not healing right taught the nervous system to keep on sending those pain signals. So a real injury, one that you can see on scans or x-rays, if it's still hurting you after the normal healing time frame for that type of injury, you may have taught your nervous system through the fear, focus, and anxiety to keep on sending these pain signals, in which case you're in luck, because your body's probably long ago been healed. And through the mindset stuff and allowing yourself to lose the fear of the symptoms, because you're not broken any longer or ever, the mindset can allow you to get out of this trouble. So again, challenge yourself. Was it truly an injury, or was it an onset of TMS that looked and felt an awful lot like an injury? And I hope this is useful for you, because again, can't tell you how many people I see in both my Pain for You page and group, but also the other TMS groups, that constantly refer to their injury. And I think that decision and that label of an injury can hold you back. So challenge that. Really look back and see what happened, what you were told, what you decided about your initial injury, and whether or not you were freaked out about it, and how much focus and anxiety you had about that injury, if it was one. And question yourself, now that you know that we can literally teach our nervous system to keep on firing pain signals, even though that injury should have healed long ago. Anything over 6 to 8 weeks, max 12, should be healed. And there's been some really traumatic injuries in this world. Car accidents, motorcycle accidents, real, true tissue damage injuries. And many of those people are fine. So why not you? Challenge yourself. And perhaps stop calling it an injury and start calling it an acute onset of TMS. Too much stress. Anyway, hope this was helpful, and we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.